we all fall back into old habits. I do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm honest. I literally, sometimes it's natural to say, well, I'll take care of it myself. And the reality is you got to let your people grow. You got to let people, learn. And just because your way is right for you doesn't mean that learn. And just because your way is right for you doesn't mean that someone else can't take a different path and still get to the same result.
Exactly. And even quicker,
Yeah,
even better.
Yeah.
So true. So very true. I mean, that's the number one thing I remember early on in my life, and I started building businesses and all. I wanted to do everything. I thought I could just be the best person to do it, but how many hours you got,
Yeah.
So what you're saying is so very true. To really, I love that analogy, what you just said. Write it down for 2 weeks, put down 1 to 5, 1 you love it, 5 you hate it, and then figure out those things and do it in Excel. That way you could even, do the ranking quickly. Then all the activities that are 1 will rise to the top. Then number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, that's awesome. Awesome. Let's dig into what should be the entrepreneur's number 1, 2, 3 things. I always say that marketing is number 1. It's the engine of the train. Yeah, a company will only prosper if the strong engine is there, and then also it's been getting fueled. So take us into that world, if you would.
So the first thing I tell people when it comes to marketing, the first thing you have to determine is who you can solve a problem for. Who is your ideal, who's the target audience?
Yeah.
And so they have this problem, and there's only 2 reasons people buy. They have a problem they want solved, and they want it solved bad enough that they want it solved now, or they buy to make their life better, which ultimately solving problems makes their life better. So what so many people, and you have a mechanical engineering background, you understand what many people do is they take and they list all these features and benefits about their products or services. To really get to the core of your $1 million message, what I like to call it, the core of that message is how you're going to transform your customer's life with it's about them. It's not about you. So if for instance, when it comes to, like, when I was buying real estate, single family homes, some of these houses were on the market for 2 years and the people couldn't sell them, and they were ready to sign those back over to the bank. Well, how could I solve their problem? Well, sure, I could take over their property, but I didn't want it to become my problem. So I realized the reason they couldn't sell their house at that time was people couldn't qualify for mortgages, because after the market crash in 2009, there was a problem. So we built a rent-to-own program that I would take those houses and I would sell them through our rent-to-own program, and we'd help people improve their credit scores. So what the message was is, look, you have this problem, this house, and I can solve that problem for you, but here's how I solve the problem. We have a group of buyers, which is why you can't sell your house, that they can't qualify for a mortgage. So we're going to help them build up their down payment, help them get their credit score straightened out, and then make sure that they make all their payments on time. When they do that, in anywhere from 12 to 24 months, they'll be able to get a mortgage. And so the only way the problem was solved was they had to realize that there was a way that their problem could be solved. And so we took all these properties in a short period of time, but the way we did that was we conveyed that message. And that's what everybody in business needs to do, is focus on how you solve your clients' problems or how you make their life better.
So true. What a great golden nugget. What you're saying is so true. It's not about us. It's not. That's what I was just going through some course, and they said, you know what? Don't tell everybody how good you are. No. I mean, the features and benefits are great, but what will it do for them? That's what they want to know. The message to them should be, okay, if I use this service, my life is going to be better. My time, less time, or my growth will be better, or I'll reach the dreams that I'm, going. So people need to really share what the benefits are. You're right. I know you are tremendous in copywriting. Can you kind of take us into that field? I know it's a very specialized field. A lot of people miss that. They really do. I know we construct all these emails. I'm guilty of that, by the way. I want colors and this and that. And, I want it long. There are so many techniques that one needs to really learn to keep it short, simple. And the PS needs to be there, subject line. I mean, a lot of people don't even read the emails. Take us into that world, if you will.
Well, I don't think I've had a copywriting coach for many years, Ray Edwards, and I coach some of his students as well. But
Yes.
Copywriting is, I like to say, it's the art of taking words and turning them into a message that sells. I mean, words can sell. Everything, every single thing that you see that is sold is first done through words. And so copywriting is an art, and it is the art of really getting to the crux of that problem. And so you mentioned subject lines, for instance. The goal of a subject line is get the email open. Okay. The goal of a headline is to get people to read the ad, right? So when, Steve Jobs, Apple was struggling, and until Jobs, he got fired and he came back and he went from this big tech geeky guy to he came back and he came up with a message which was 1,000 songs in the palm of your hand, and he transformed the company with a headline, 1,000 songs in the palm of your hand. That company has never been the same ever since. Well, that's what copywriting does, is it takes a very complex message and it turns it into things that are much more simple to understand. Syndicating real estate, finding investors, finding lenders, finding properties. All of these things are very complex scenarios, but you have perfected these frameworks. But taking that message and making it simple that people can understand that, look, you can purchase real estate without your own money, without credit. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but you can do it. That's that. And how do you do it? Well, you have to follow these 5 plates. You have to build a team. You have to have investors, but it also requires you have to be a trustworthy individual. I mean, if you just got out of prison for embezzling, it might be hard to become a syndicator. There is a trust level that has to be there. So.
Hi, you are listening to Syndication Made Easy podcast. We will be right back after this short break.
Hi, thank you so much. This is Vinney Chopra, and thank you for subscribing to my podcast and YouTube channel and Facebook pages and all the great things, and LinkedIn. Connect with me. I come live to you every Friday at 9:30 Pacific with Vinney and Bo show. Please also look at that. And also the podcast, which is my Apartment Syndication Made Easy. The book I wrote a couple of years back became international top seller on Amazon International now. And then we like to bring great guests for you every week or twice a week sometime to give you a lot of great knowledge. So please subscribe. You give us 5-star reviews on the iTunes. The better the guests we can bring, and our ranking will go higher also. Thanks again for following us and really getting the most out of it. Please comment, like, share, because we would love to bring better and better material for you.
And that's, everything boils down in copywriting to the message. And it's always.
Love it, Dave. You're so right. So succinctly put, but you're so true, because, as we are using in the syndication world, you got to build your brand. You got to have people who are close to you. They know you. Sometimes they want to know what you're doing now next, right? So you got to really build that brand, I call it, build your image in a new field. If you're a W-2 employee or something, why you're getting into, and who is your advisor, who is your mentor, and what they are teaching, what's their background, who can teach you so that I can safely put my money with you.
Yes.
It really boils down to, can I trust you? I know you for some time. Some of the closest people in our life, they know how we were in the junior high, everything, right? And then some of us have moved here, some are here, whatever. But we need to build that trust. That trust comes by showing them, who we are and what I'm learning and why I'm doing what I'm doing, I guess, right? Would you say?
Oh yeah, and I think Vinny, that the why this makes sense. Okay, so when I look at multifamily or mini storage, why those make sense right now is because, number one, there's a housing shortage, but that's all fine and good. But if you go buy multifamily in Chicago, you're probably not going to make any money because you're not going to be able to collect rents. Or in New York City right now, I've never seen Manhattan prices so low in my entire life. And so, but why aren't people investing in Manhattan? Because it's not an ideal market. However, inside of those markets, this is what makes a good investor. Inside of those markets, you have to figure out how you can solve the problem for the people who are sitting on a piece of property they can't sell. So that sometimes means repurposing an asset or adding value, which is what you do very well with multifamily, with senior living, is you're looking at this market and you're saying, okay, this apartment building could be better if we did this to the units, like we added value by maybe painting the cabinets or changing out to vinyl flooring instead of carpet and just doing basic upgrades, maybe whatever, new parking lot, cleaning the property up. And all of these things elevate the rent. And in multifamily, many investors I don't think they realize, you don't set the cap rate. The cap rate is established by the market, and the capitalization rate determines what's the value of your property based upon net operating income. And so that's what's different from single family homes. With single family homes, I was chasing my tail. It's a job. I mean, no matter how many you get, there's always a lot of work. There's always a lot of work in apartments as well, but you can build a system, but the cap rate will determine that value. So if your focus is on income and net operating income, your focus is very different. You're not always, your money's made on the income side, but the market will determine the long-term value of that property. It's not up to you. Whereas with single family homes, you can buy a house in a great neighborhood, but if that neighborhood depreciates a little, not a lot, just a little, you can't sell the house. And so you're stuck with it. And you might not have the income you want either.
So true. No, so very true. I think it's the value add. That's why I always kind of say and preach, don't look at the cap rate. You cannot take the cap rate to the bank, but cash flow is king. Cash flow you could take to the bank, cash flow you can distribute to the investors, the limited partners, we call it in our syndication language, like that. But the big thing is how to increase the NOI, like you said, by implementing different systems, and of course also purchasing the asset where there is a differential in the rents, right? Because we want to increase the rents by giving more amenities, doing value adds. Of course, at the same token, if there is a already, gradual increase from the side properties into that. Sorry, cleaning people are here today.
Oh, that's
early. I hope it doesn't mess up.
No, all I see is San Francisco background.
All right. Yeah, I'm right here in the Bay Area, right there. Many of you know me, live near in Danville, just 30 miles out. And, we got some virtual things put together. I'll be using them. I thought that would be kind of a little flavor. I love different things in, changing things. And it's always good to reinvent the wheel. That's how I say, But no, David, that's so tremendous. Take us to let's go to the attitude of entrepreneur. I know we started with that, but how do we say right now with where the market is, potential is there, right? And this housing is not going away. I talked about 3 tsunamis, the millennials, then the immigration tsunami and the silver tsunami, which is a big one, huge one. I mean, 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every night until 2031. So this is 2022. For next 9 years, every day, 10,000 baby boomers are turning into, 65 plus. Similar numbers, not 10,000, but I think 6,000 turn into 70 every day, and then 4,000, I think, turn into 80, something like that. So what do you think? What crystal ball? You've been in real estate 30 years, right? So,
well, I will say that right now feels a lot like 2006.
yeah.
But see, the difference between 2006 and right now is I see it coming. In 2006, I got scared. We sold, when I say I got scared, I sold all my property. I was out of investment real estate by the end of 2006, and everybody thought I was a genius. I was actually afraid to stay in it.
Yeah.
So, you know, so when you talk about being an entrepreneur, is we have these fears, and fears, they either paralyze you or you take action on them. I took an action. I said, I want to be out of the market. Now it put me in a great cash position to go back into the market after it crashed.
Yeah.
I feel very similar now. In fact, we've liquidated quite a bit of property, and we're now sitting on cash waiting for the market to come back. But if it doesn't, we're going to keep investing. I think that the mindset of an entrepreneur is, there's this movie called The Edge with Anthony Hopkins, and in there, he's a very wealthy guy, but he's stuck in the wilderness in Alaska or in Canada somewhere, and he's reading this book, and he says, I can do anything another man can do. I can learn to do anything another man can do. And that's his attitude is, if another person can do it, I can learn to do it.
Yep.
And so I think that attitude, you've got to have this attitude. It doesn't mean, look, there is something called raw talent. I will never be able to play golf like Tiger Woods. He has natural talent. However, it doesn't mean that I can't learn to play great golf. And so if you want to learn the real estate business, you got to get out there and swing. And how do you learn to play great golf? It's the law of 10,000. You hit 10,000 balls, then you play 10,000 holes, then you play, I mean, you keep progressing in the law of 10,000. Well, in real estate, you want to learn how to buy real estate and become really effective at it. Start with analyzing 100 properties, and then buy one property, then buy 100 properties, not all at once. I mean, but it's the same progression. You keep doing the same things. And what's amazing is, I think of Tony Robbins. He'll go on stage and he'll talk for 3 days with no notes, very few notes.
Yeah.
The reason why is because Tony has these frameworks in his head. He understands his law of 10,000. He's done the first step so many times that he can go through that. He has a framework that he created. You have frameworks. You wrote a book about your frameworks. You call them the 5 plates. But those frameworks, as you move through and you learn, that's why a coach is a great thing, because it allows you to create your own frameworks by using the coach's frameworks at first, and then, kind of spinning off your own. So it's an attitude, Vinney, of